Food noise. Is it hunger, habit, or something else?
Why do we keep going back to quick fixes, even when we know they don't work?
Welcome to the Coach's Hotline. Glucose, grit, and grace. Real talk with coaches, no sugarcoating.
We're here to help you ditch the diet cycle, stabilize blood sugar, and finally feel at home in your body.
Because health isn't about restriction. It's about freedom, energy, and confidence.
Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Health Coach Hotline, Glucose, Grit, and Grace. I'm Coach Amber. I'm here with my fellow coaches, Coach Elaine Pierce and Coach Elaine McCormick. All right, so let's talk about a phrase that is everywhere right now: food noise. I know you've heard it. It's all over social media. It's in the GLP-1 conversation. It's in doctors' offices, and it's in all the comment sections. And now we've even got Oprah talking about it.
Yes.
And the way that people talk about it, it almost sounds like this mysterious monster that is living in their brain.
Right.
But here's my question. When someone says food noise, what do they actually mean? Are we talking about hunger, cravings, emotional eating, obsession, blood sugar instability? Or are we lumping like 5 different things into one trendy phrase? So today we're not lecturing, but we are definitely unpacking food noise. Now, before we try to fix something, we really need to make sure we define it. Because thinking about food isn't automatically a disorder. Planning meals isn't pathology, and looking forward to dinner isn't dysfunction. The research world actually defines food noise as persistent, unwanted thoughts that feel distressing and cause harm. That is very different than I am excited about tacos tonight. So I really want to dig into this with you guys. When does normal food thinking cross the line into something more intrusive?
Yeah, that's such a good question, Amber. I think when it becomes all you're thinking about, when it becomes, and this is gonna, I think, sound reminiscent of some other conversations that we've had, but when even in a restriction mindset, you still are thinking about food because you're thinking about what you can't have. And then as you're thinking about what you can't have, you start wanting those things or things like it or eating around it or whatever. And so I don't think food noise is just thinking about food in general. It is very specific. I just had this flash in my head. Do you guys remember like the first Ghostbusters movie back in the 80s? And they said, whatever, you just clear your mind. Don't think about anything. And then all of a sudden the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man shows up, right? Because he's like, I couldn't not think about it. It was something that just came to my mind.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. Well, and Elaine, I completely agree with you. I think when we are restricting, maybe is when it's the most loud, because you are constantly thinking about, here's what I can't have. I have to follow these rules. I want to make sure I don't screw it up, and so that can put people in a constant state of panic.
Well, and I think you're constantly thinking about wanting to do what's right.
Yes.
And okay, what's right is I need to eat the salad, not the taco, maybe, or I need to have grilled chicken, not chicken fingers, or, it's all the stuff of what we can't have. And what it seems like is what we can have is not really what we want.
Right.
So that's where I think that food noise comes in, because we're constantly battling with what society or social media says we can have versus what we want. So how do we balance those two?
Well, and then to your point, when we do follow the rules and we have the right thing, we're not satisfied.
Right.
Because we just restricted ourselves. And so then there's more noise.
Yep.
Right. And then also, I mean, y'all know we're going to bring blood sugar into this because cravings have a lot to do with food noise. I can remember before I got my blood sugar stabilized, my food noise was defined like this. If somebody was making noise getting food out for some reason, I felt like I needed to have some. Or if there was food sitting out on the table, I felt like I had to eat it. Like the food was calling to me, saying, you must eat me. Or if I'm in the store and you pass the donut aisle and the donuts are like, hello, I'm right here. And that's kind of how I always, for myself, defined food noise, because it's like the food is calling to you saying you have to eat me. And we've talked about that as being a blood sugar imbalance, right? We have cravings because our blood sugar is low and our body is saying, I need something quick and I need something that I can metabolize quickly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I know also we center food around events.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I know our family, we meet up for the holidays and stuff, and it's all about the food. So what happens is we eat all of that food that everybody brought, because you have to have Aunt Jane's casserole that she brings every time, you know, and even though you may not necessarily want it, it's a tradition. So, and that's where we talk about, you talk about the blood sugar. So we eat the stuff that is probably pretty carb intensive, that is probably full of fat. I know at our holidays, it's a lot of potatoes. Yes, there's one meat dish usually. Okay. Ham, turkey, whatever it may be. But everything else is the scalloped potatoes and the dressing, or the sweets, especially at Easter time. Yeah. So what happens then when we eat all of that and it's one big meal that you saved up for the entire day, but you went into that day with that thought in your head, well, I'm going to have Aunt Jane's casserole and I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that. And where was the protein in there?
Exactly.
So
anyway, the balance. So I'm wondering, have you ever had those intrusive food noise thoughts? And do you have them now that your blood sugar is more balanced? Or do you think that maybe that has helped take away all the noise?
I think it's helped take away some of the noise.
I was going to say the same thing.
Because I do think that obviously blood sugar and those cravings play a big role. I also think there's a huge mindset component. If you've spent 40 years dieting, you've spent 40 years obsessing over food.
Right.
And when you spent 4 decades obsessing over anything, you don't let go of that very easily.
Yeah, those habits are deeply ingrained in your brain.
100%. They really are.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Amber. I think stabilizing the blood sugar helps with some of those things that you just ate because it was there. And now it doesn't necessarily call out to you. And I know for me, I'm not necessarily looking for that quick fix anymore, but you're absolutely right. It is a mindset at the same time. And again, for me, it can be around the holidays. Those can be really challenging for me. And it's not the point that I have to have the food. It's more about that's what the holiday centers around.
Yes.
So how do we change that? And maybe that's just me. I mean, I still love to see my nieces and nephews and everyone like that. And it's great to see all the kids running around and stuff. But at the same time, there's this whole buffet of what everyone brought, that we have to try. So I don't know. And I guess that's where you talk about the mindset. How do we, and it takes time. It's not as bad for me as it was, 3-4 years ago. I used to come away from holidays feeling just terrible. Okay. Couldn't wait to go home and take a nap or go to bed or whatever it was. And now I don't come away that way. So I think it's a gradual thing when it comes to that mindset and how we work through it. And I don't think it's back to your question, Elaine, I don't think it's as intrusive as it used to be. So I think it's that gradual process. So we can't expect things to, like a light switch flipping on and off.
Yeah, we can't expect a habit that we've done for 40 years to just because we have balanced blood sugar to not creep up.
And we have to give ourselves that grace to know that and not say, well, why did I do that again type of thing,
Right.
So.
And do the work for the mindset too,
Yes,
right? You can't just say, well, I'm on this new program, so it's not going to be a problem. You can't, you have to intentionally, like Carrie says, intentionally think about how you think so that you can understand. Like I understood going through this program that I was like an impulsive eater. If people were eating, I would feel like I had to eat. Or if somebody brought me something and said, here, I got this for you, I would feel obligated to eat it. Not food noise necessarily, but a mindset that if I didn't eat that, I would make that person sad because they did a favor for me and they didn't want to make them feel bad for doing it.
And I think that's where, for me, it's a little bit different from being hungry. I do eat more now because I'm hungry, or it's at my, 3 to 4 hours of eating. And I do eat more like that. And I think that helps quiet some of that because I'm not hungry, but then brings us back to that mindset. So I don't know if you guys have experienced anything like that, if it's different than just being hungry.
Well, and I think that's why we coach in the order in which we coach, right? So if you think about it, when we start working with people, the very first thing we do is look at their nutrition plate. And the reason we do that is to get that blood sugar balanced.
Right.
Because it will quiet some of the noise. And then we're really big, not only on mindset, but intentionality.
Yes.
And when things are quieter, we can think more clearly and we can be more intentional. And that is just going to compound. And so then we do have capacity to start even just asking the question, am I hungry or is this food noise? Because I'll tell you, before the blood sugar is stable, you can't even ask that question, let alone answer that question.
But I think people on GLP-1s say that the food noise is quiet because they aren't hungry. And so, and when they say that when they go off the GLP-1s, they say the food noise came back. Well, it's because you haven't changed the mindsets and you're hungry finally. But that's a different subject. But when you don't work on the mindsets, right, and you come off something that's suppressing your appetite, of course it's going to come back because you haven't learned what those are. So you haven't been able to notice them and address them.
Yeah. And I think that's where it's so important why we teach to become your own nutrition boss, so that you do understand that, having that balanced blood sugar can go so far in so many ways, not just with the food cravings or the food noises and things like that. But I think if we can, I will tell you, I was totally amazed at how much the food cravings went away.
Me too.
And I know I've told you guys the story multiple times about how my love for ice cream and the fact that I don't crave ice cream anymore. I mean, I haven't had ice cream in probably a couple months. I mean, it used to be the staple when we went on vacation, and I don't think about it. And that was so freeing to not even think about it, So anyway.
Well, and to go back to a couple of things that we've been talking about, especially in the GLP-1 conversation and as it relates to mindset, we just keep, and by we, I don't mean us, but society just keeps repackaging. Like first we had really restrictive diets, then people wired their mouths shut. We learned that we can surgically alter our physiology so that we don't eat. And now we have shots that make us not hungry, but those are literally all the same thing. And it's all based in restriction and never based in mindset and habits and systems. And that I truly believe is what really trips people up and makes that food noise never truly go away. Because that's where it needs to be.
And whereas we teach food freedom, in the sense that every food is a protein, fat, or carb. It's not a good food. It's not a bad food. And just that concept has freed me a lot from those cravings and from that food calling to me kind of thing, because there's nothing that's off limits. I can have an appreciation meal and have pasta. I pay for it now because the gluten, and I am gluten intolerant. Right. I pay for it, but I know ahead of time that I'm going to pay for it.
Exactly.
But so nothing's off limits. If I want to go to a birthday party and have birthday cake, I just make sure that I have a lean protein first and I have birthday cake. So that birthday cake isn't calling to me and then slathering me with guilt and shame because I ate it and I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah. And that's probably the thing that I really like about this is the fact what you mentioned is that nothing is off limits. And, when people first come to me, when we begin this program, this lifestyle change, it's like, oh, I had the stuff and I wasn't supposed to. And I'm like, who said you weren't supposed to?
Exactly.
And when people hear that for the first time, it's like, oh, wait a minute.
This is weird.
I can have it. I can still have my favorite whatever at Easter time, or I can still have Aunt Jane's casserole, and it's okay. So, and I think that's where a lot of that comes in as well, is just realizing that we can really have whatever we want. It's how we pair it. It's what we do before. It's how we feel after also. So.
Well, and I think this is something that we're starting to touch on in this conversation. We really live in an environment that is engineered to keep food in front of us.
Yes.
I mean, if you think about it, you scroll your phone, what's there? Recipes.
Right.
You drive down the road and there's these big, huge drive-through signs. You open an app and there's snack boards. Even the sound of food crunching and pouring and popping is used to make it more appealing. Think about commercials on TV. So I have to ask, is your brain loud because something is wrong with you, or because the volume in the world is turned all the way up? And we know this answer, but let's make it really crystal clear for everyone who's listening.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's interesting. I mean, when we're on social media, Facebook, Instagram, all those other places, even your Google feed, you're going to mention something. What was it the other day? Oh, my brother, sister-in-law, and my husband and I are going to a concert. And it was amazing how I never really got anything on this particular artist until we bought tickets for the concert. I wasn't even searching. My brother bought the tickets. And guess what I'm getting all over my feeds? So, when we're looking for recipes, or we're looking for the next best way to lose weight, or we're researching even things, and I'll probably get all this on my social feed now. I'm researching about GLPs just because I'm interested and I just want to be informed. Then we get bombarded with all of that information.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm one that, after like 7:00 at night, I'm not typically on my social feeds. I'm doing other things. Now I am during the day for my business and things like that. But I think we really have to be careful. Not careful. We really have to be able to discern, okay, I'm getting this because they're pushing it to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that we kind of get in an information tunnel, right?
Yes,
And that's all we see.
So
That's
how
crazy.
can I change that? What is it that I enjoy? So I will tell you, because I'm planting my garden, I am getting a lot of gardening posts now, which is, well, it's nice and it's not, because then I'm like, oh, now I need the greenhouse.
Yeah.
The book may not like it, but it's the same thing, and I think sometimes we can influence what we want to see, but we have to make that conscious decision about what is it that I'm looking for. So I don't know.
And I know whenever I post like a recipe or me cooking or just a picture of my food, those are the ones that blow up. I think that there's so much more to what we do.
Right. Exactly.
But also, processed food is engineered for us to crave food. So not only mentally is it happening, but physiologically it can be happening when we are having a lot of processed food and not eating whole, clean foods.
It's that bliss point.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it's interesting because I won't mention the company, but I belong to a CSA. It's one of the local farms in town, and I love their lettuces are to die for. I never thought I would say that about lettuce, okay? But their lettuces are great. And they actually just posted about, Sara Lee's touting these homemade pies, and how but they've been in storage or on a truck for like 550 days. And how can you say that this is so good and all the ingredients in it? Which I agree, Elaine. I think that doesn't help with the food noise, because these types of products are feeding us and adding to how we're feeling about what we want.
Yeah.
So no, I totally agree with that.
Well, and marketing people are not stupid.
Oh no.
They know exactly how to take that food noise and manipulate it so that you think that having that homemade pie was your idea. And it's the best idea you have ever had.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's just amazing. And we just have to be aware. And I think that's what a lot of it is. We're not going to be able to avoid it. It's on TV. It's on any type of interaction. Like you said, Amber, or it's when we drive down the street and we see the drive-through, or we're promoting what Taco Bell now has chicken nuggets. I'm like, why does Taco Bell have chicken nuggets? But anyway, but we're curious. Okay. We're like, okay, so how does that taste? I mean, I remember when Taco Bell first came out with French fries, it was like, oh, Taco Bell and French fries, they actually weren't bad. Now I taste them. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I think someone had one and I just tasted one. It was like, why did I ever think this was good? But, like you said, with that food noise, my body was conditioned like, oh, this tastes pretty good compared to what I had from some others,
Right.
So it definitely doesn't help with that food noise that we've been talking.
And getting off the chemicals. It's really hard for me to eat out now and to eat fast food. Because everything just tastes bland to me and gross.
Well, and that's the craziest thing is that the other day, Tom and I went to dinner, and we went to, it was like a legit, like it was a restaurant. It wasn't fast food, but it was a chain. And we both sat down and could just taste how processed everything was. Like, you knew that literally everything on your plate came from a can. And we were like, I'm never eating here again. And we were so excited because, it's been around for forever and it should be amazing. And we were just so disappointed. But now we actually know what real food tastes like. And so we can spot a imposter in a second.
It's so eye-opening, and that's why I feel like part of this is it's a road that we travel. It's not something that we're all of a sudden going to jump over this chasm and be there. It's a continue, right? That we have to take that time to figure out what really tastes good to us. And I totally agree, with the processed foods and what's in it, and it's canned versus fresh. And a lot of people say, oh, well, green beans are boring when they're fresh. I'm like, oh my gosh, but a lot of times it takes time for your palate to change a little bit and to realize what you were missing. And again, that doesn't help with that food noise. You know, we think that that's all we like because that's all we've been exposed to for so long.
Yeah.
So change can be challenging and hard, but so much rewarding at the end.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and if you know that it's a journey and not a sprint,
right,
that's where some grace and breathing room comes in. It's like, I don't have to have this figured out today. But if I learn 1% better than I knew yesterday, I'm doing it. Like, I'm making progress.
So I think what's interesting, I mean, we've all dieted for a long time. Okay. We all kind of were on that same journey. And I think we kind of found our home around the same time. But a lot of us, I know for me, I've been dieting, you know, since I was 12, 13 years old. And so my brain was trained to have cantaloupe and chicken for 3 meals a day. And it was trained to you know, stay away from the dessert table. You don't want that, you know. So do you believe that our brain can be trained to obsess about food?
100%.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly. And I think you hit the nail on the head just because of, you know, the diet mentality and that, you know, here's the new diet and here's like, you do whole 30 and here's all the things that you can have. But if you have one mistake, then it's all erased and you have to start over.
Yeah.
I mean, that creates, I don't know if it's necessarily food noise, but certainly dysfunction.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
definitely.
Well, I think the food noise component of it is attaching emotion and value.
Yes.
Because remember, at the beginning, it was intrusive thoughts that cause damage. You know,
I love that. I love that clarification.
And so when we have thoughts in our head about what we're eating that take a hit on our self-esteem, that's more painful than, oh God, I love that chocolate cake. I wish I could have that chocolate cake, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's a huge factor in food noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those feelings of guilt and shame and spiraling and not worthy and not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And those can all be addressed when we do our mindset work.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Thank goodness.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the thing is it takes work. That's the thing that we have to realize. Like I said, it's not a flip of the switch. It's not here, you know, okay, here's where I am today. Tomorrow I'm going to be all better. It takes time because we have so many different triggers and emotional things that we may not have even uncovered. And that's where I think that mindset and working on yourself and putting yourself first and trying to eliminate those other, and I'm going to go away from food noise a little bit, but those other noise of what do other people think?
Oh, yeah.
You know? And I can tell you when I used to go to places, I'm like, I don't want people to see me eating this cookie because then they're gonna know. And that goes back to food noise as well. Yeah. You know, I felt like I was being judged by the food I was eating. And if I was eating the cookie or too much pizza, that I was going to be like, oh my gosh, look at her, you know, look at all that pizza. No wonder she's gained weight, you know? So, you know, it all kind of goes back to we have to work on ourselves. And while it's hard to ignore what other people say, if we feel good about ourselves and what we're doing, then we need to be okay with that.
Yeah.
Confidence
beautiful. Comes from knowing what you're doing is correct for you.
Yes. Yes. And I will say this program has given me more of that. Yes, it taught me how to eat. It taught me how to stabilize those blood sugar. And that's the mechanics. The mechanics can be, they can be simple to learn, but not always easy. But that mindset work to me is just worth so much about making sure that I'm thinking the right way. So, and that I'm, you know, we've all kind of read that book, Worthy, that I'm worthy of what I want and it's not about what other people think. So
Absolutely. All right. So we have defined food noise, and I believe we've had a beautiful discussion about all of the different components. But then the real question people have to be asking themselves is what actually lowers the volume of food noise?
Exactly. I think that's a really good question, Amber, because it's nice to talk about all the whys, but if we don't talk about any of the hows, then you're gonna,
Yeah,
stop
we just
listening
have
to
a
this
long
podcast
list
and
of
not be changed.
reasons why it happens.
Exactly. So I think a lot of it goes back to the things that we teach, which
Mhm.
kind of is rooted in those 6 spinning plates of health.
Yes.
Right? And making sure that all the pieces of our health and well-being are balanced.
Mhm.
So when we're getting enough sleep, we're not tired, so we're not stressed, so we don't make bad decisions
Mhm.
or unhealthy decisions.
Mhm.
Right? If we're hydrated, then our body isn't giving us hunger signals. So all of these things work together to help us have a healthy outlook, a healthy lifestyle, so that we can address the food noise. I'm not going
Well,
to say that we're going to suppress it, but we can address it.
absolutely. Well, and as I'm thinking about it, this is going to be super controversial. So listen, feel, and then I'll explain. Maybe food noise isn't a bad thing. And here's why. If you understand what food noise is and what causes it, is it not an indicator that something is off? Like
Mm.
if I've stabilized my blood sugar and I've started to work on food noise and it has started to quiet down,
yeah.
when I notice it, that's when I can go back and look at my 6 spinning plates. And just like you were saying, Elaine, am I sleeping enough? Am I stressed out? And so I think it's a symptom of something, and it allows us to really be reflective and come back into, all right, what's out of balance and what can I do to support myself?
And I love how you're talking about it as support rather than fight. We
Mhm.
don't have to fight against it. We
Mm-mm.
have to be aware of it and see where our body is asking for support. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think part of it is too, what you talk about, Amber, is peeling that onion.
Yeah.
We don't always know what's on the inside until we kind of peel those layers away a little bit to see where we're at. So that food noise may come back,
Mhm.
probably will, because we're
Mhm.
exploring new territory all the time. So I
Yeah.
really like that you bring that up, because it's not like we're going to miraculously cure or be over this. So once we get our 6 spinning plates going, great, but then we always know that some of them will wobble, and maybe that's because we've entered a new layer that, that's great.
Yes.
It's part of the healing. It's part of where we need to go to feel good about ourselves. So
Absolutely.
feel better. I can say, hopefully we're feeling good, and it just
Mhm.
puts us to that next level of feeling better.
Well, and I've absolutely found that in my own personal journey. I am 2 years in to living this lifestyle, and because I have 40 plus years of not living it,
Yeah.
you're right. Every time I peel a layer, something new comes up or something comes back that feels a little familiar. Thank goodness I now have the tools and I have a coach that I can lean on. And yeah, I'm a coach, but I still need a coach,
Yes.
because you can't see, Carrie always says that you can't see the label from inside the jar. Well, I'm on my journey and I'm in my own jar, so I do look to my fellow coaches. In fact, I have a question for you guys a little bit later on some food, but it's really just leaning on those people that can see the outside of the jar that I think is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I call that stuff that comes up, I call it mud.
Oh, yeah.
And because it's like it's leftover, right? It's like if you've planted a seed, I don't know if you've ever seen a seed grow in slow mo or in fast
Yeah.
motion, right?
Yeah.
But it's pushing up a lot of dirt
Yeah.
as it's growing, right? And so that dirt that it's pushing up, I liken to our old habits. You have to get rid of, you have to keep pushing those old habits out of the way so that you can finally bloom.
Yeah.
What a cool visual.
And I think that also helps us with the stuff that comes up that we just didn't ever expected. I
Yeah.
mean, there have been things that have come up, and it's like, wow, had this been 2 years ago, I wouldn't have handled it like this. So we've learned how to handle. Now, maybe we didn't handle it 100% the way it could have been, but it's learning.
Yeah.
You know, but I handled it better than I did before. That's a win.
Yes,
So,
it is.
yeah. So that's where I think a lot of times we have to realize that it's never, unfortunately, not everything goes away. There's always going to be those social influences, and there's always going to be whatever the new GLP-1 is and things like that. But we have to remember the tools that we have to be able to handle that better than we did before. So,
Absolutely. Love the way that you summed that up. Okay, so before we wrap up, I want to sit with this for a second because I think this topic truly deserves it. If you've spent years, maybe even decades, blaming yourself for not being able to control your eating, for not having enough willpower, for feeling like food has way too much power over you, I want you to hear this. That was never your fault. Your brain was responding to biology, to your environment, to a food system that was literally designed to keep you thinking about food. You were fighting something real. You were fighting it without a name for it, without the right tools. And way too often, you were fighting that battle alone. Great news is you're not alone anymore.
And that's exactly why we do this, because you don't have to be alone in this journey. And we are here to help you. We're here to help you understand the whys behind the things that you're thinking about, because that why changes everything. And once you understand the why behind food noise and the what it actually is, you can stop fighting yourself and finally start working to support yourself.
yeah, that is so powerful. And I've seen it happen with clients over and over again. And even just people that I talk with, the moment that they get it, like really, truly get it, the shame lifts. And that is when real change becomes possible.
Absolutely. So here's the one thing that I want y'all to do this week, and it's just one thing. The next time you feel a craving, before you act on it, I invite you to pause for just a second and ask yourself, is this true hunger? Or is this food noise? You don't have to white knuckle it. You don't have to say no. Just get curious. Notice what's actually happening. Physical hunger has signals. Your stomach growling, low energy, feeling a little weak, because we know that's your blood sugar crashing. Food noise is mental chatter that shows up even when your body is just fine and it doesn't need any fuel. That pause, that one moment of awareness is where everything starts to shift. It's small, it's free, and it works. Now, if this episode hit home for you, will you do us a small favor? Share it. text it to a friend who you know is also battling some food noise, or who found a way to quiet that food noise that may not really be serving their body. Post in the group chat, leave us a review, let us know your thoughts, or if you have questions, throw those in the chat as well. If you're feeling generous, it seriously means the world, and it helps other people find us who need to hear exactly what we just talked about today.
And if you're new here, welcome, and stick around because we do this every week.
Go check out our other episodes. There's something for every spinning plate. And make sure you follow us so you don't miss a drop.
Until next week, keep those plates spinning, keep showing up for yourself, and remember, the noise is not the truth. We'll see you next week.